Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The Curse of Oak Island preview. There's a new discovery in the swamp as Rick investigates Templar Knights in Italy. We're approaching the end of Season 10 on The Curse of Oak Island, and things are really starting to heat up as there's a brand new discovery in the swamp. And the guys are also continuing their investigations in Italy as the evidence of a Templar Knight's voyage to the island continues to mount. This week's episode is called The Italian Job, a reference to the classic 1969 Michael Caine movie of the same name, and we'll see Rick and Alex Lagina, Peter Fernetti, and Doug Crowell continue their Italian adventure. Last week, the guys explored some ancient underground caverns beneath two medieval towns, where they came across various Templar-related symbols and carvings, symbols they had previously encountered in Nova Scotia. This helped add to the theory that members of the medieval order of Templar Knights may have buried treasures and ancient Christian relics on Oak Island. They also spoke to Adriano Vespani, an expert in archaeoastronomy who specializes in dating ancient stone structures depending on how they align with the stars. Somewhat incredibly, he suggested Nolan's Cross dates back to 1200 AD. This week the guys will be chatting with another expert, this one specializing in archaeology. A trailer shows Rick and Alex open-mouthed and in shock as they're told a couple of artifacts could be 1,000 years old. These artifacts appear to be the Roman coin and token found by the guys earlier this season on Lot 5. There's a new discovery at the Oak Island swamp. Meanwhile, back on Oak Island, Billy Gerhardt and the guys are continuing to excavate the mysterious swamp area. They are convinced they found a ramp connecting the 800-year-old paved area to the stone roadway. We're unsure of the details, but viewers can expect to see a brand new discovery tonight. It could be connected to the existing stone structures, or maybe they've finally located the ship thought to be buried beneath the swampy water. Or it could be a completely new discovery. Also, on tonight's episode, the Dumas mining coming will finally reach the bottom of the garden shaft. After months of anticipation, the team will finally be able to start exploring the money pit area from underground. Marty Lagina finally gets to the bottom of the garden shaft. A trailer shows an excited Marty Lagina heading down the shaft to examine the bottom. He's hopeful that the team can finally make a breakthrough, stating, "We're very close to the actual treasure of the money pit." We can also expect to see the archaeologists doing more work on the strange circular stone feature on Lot 5. This structure has really piqued the interest of the guys since they learned it has the same dimensions as the original money pit. Tonight, geoscientist Dr. Ian Spooner is drafted in to investigate. The mist clung to the surface of the swamp like a secret too dark to be unveiled, swirling in ghostly tendrils that obscured the landscape of Oak Island. The ancient trees, with their gnarled roots gripping the earth, stood like sentinels guarding a mystery that had haunted treasure hunters for centuries. This was a place where the past refused to die, where whispers of buried riches and ancient relics hung in the air like the fog that never seemed to fully lift. Rick Lagina, his brow furrowed with determination, stood at the edge of the swamp, peering into its murky depths. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves, but there was something else too, something intangible that set his heart racing. He had spent years chasing the legend of Oak Island, and he knew that every corner of this cursed land held the potential to change history. But today the air buzzed with a different kind of energy. Something was here, something new, and Rick could feel it in his bones. Beside him, his brother Marty was going over the maps and data on his tablet, his face a mask of concentration. Their team, equipped with the latest technology, had been meticulously scouring the swamp for weeks, guided by a tip-off about a possible new discovery. But as always with Oak Island, nothing came easily. The land seemed to fight back against their efforts, as if it had its own will, its own purpose. "Anything?" Rick asked, his voice low, as if speaking too loudly might scare away the answers they sought. "There's definitely something down there," Marty replied, his eyes never leaving the screen. "But it's deep. Deeper than we've been looking. We might need to bring in heavier equipment." Rick nodded, his mind already turning over the possibilities. The swamp had been a focal point of their investigation for years, with theories ranging from sunken ships to hidden tunnels. But the more they uncovered, the more questions arose. The swamp was a riddle wrapped in layers of time, each one more complex than the last. But this time, Rick felt a flicker of something he hadn't felt in a while: hope. Could this be it? Could they finally be on the verge of unearthing the island's greatest secret? As they prepared to begin the day's work, Rick's phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out, frowning as he saw an unfamiliar number flash across the screen. He almost ignored it, but something made him press the answer button. "Hello, Mr. Lagina," came a voice on the other end, tinged with an accent that Rick couldn't immediately place. "I hope I'm not disturbing you, but I believe we have mutual interests." Rick's grip on the phone tightened. He had grown accustomed to strange calls and cryptic messages over the years, but something about this one felt different. "Who is this?" he asked, his tone cautious. "My name is Professor Vittorio Di Stefano. I'm an archaeologist based in Florence. My studies have led me to some intriguing findings, particularly concerning the Templar Knights. I understand you've been investigating their connection to Oak Island." Rick's heart skipped a beat. The Templar Knights had long been a cornerstone of Oak Island lore, their legendary wealth and mysterious disappearance fueling countless theories about the island's hidden treasures. But despite years of research, concrete evidence had always eluded them. "We've uncovered some links, yes," Rick replied carefully. "Why do you ask?" "I've recently unearthed a document in a remote Italian monastery," Di Stefano continued. "A document that mentions a journey taken by a group of Templar Knights to a distant land across the sea, carrying with them something of great value. The description of their destination, it bears a striking resemblance to your Oak Island." Rick's mind raced. Could this be the missing piece of the puzzle? A direct connection between the Templars and Oak Island? "Can you send me what you have?" Rick asked, trying to keep the excitement out of his voice. "I can do better than that," Di Stefano said, his voice smooth. "I'm already en route to Nova Scotia. I believe we can help each other, Mr. Lagina. My knowledge of the Templars, combined with your expertise on the island, we might finally solve this mystery." Rick exchanged a glance with Marty, who had been listening to the conversation, his eyes widening at the mention of the Templars. Rick nodded, and Marty gave a quick thumbs up. "All right, Professor," Rick said, his voice steady. "We'll meet you here. But let me be clear. Oak Island has a way of disappointing people. Don't expect any easy answers." "I wouldn't dream of it," Di Stefano replied, a hint of a smile in his voice. "But I have a feeling this time we might be closer than ever before." The call ended, and Rick stood there for a moment, the weight of what had just been said sinking in. The Templar Knights, Italy, a secret document, it all seemed too good to be true. And yet, something deep within him stirred with a sense of destiny. Perhaps this was the moment they had been waiting for, the moment when all the threads of history would finally weave together into a single, coherent truth. "Rick," Marty said, breaking the silence, "if this guy's legit." "I know," Rick replied, his voice filled with a quiet resolve. "We need to be ready for whatever he brings us. Let's focus on the swamp today, see what we can find. If there's something down there, we need to uncover it before Di Stefano arrives." As they moved towards the excavation site, the mist seemed to part before them, as if the island itself was granting them passage. The team worked in near silence, each member acutely aware of the significance of the day. The air was thick with anticipation, every sound amplified in the stillness of the swamp. Hours passed, and the work was slow, painstaking. The swamp resisted their efforts, its muddy depths clutching at their tools, its waters dark and unyielding. But Rick's determination never wavered. This was what they had come here for, what they had dedicated their lives to. And now, more than ever, he felt they were on the brink of something extraordinary. As the sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the island, a shout rang out from one of the diggers. "I've hit something," he called, his voice tinged with excitement. Rick and Marty rushed over, their hearts pounding in their chests. The digger was pointing to a dark object partially submerged in the mud, its edges sharp and metallic. Carefully they worked to free the object from its muddy tomb, revealing what appeared to be an ancient, corroded chest. Its surface was engraved with symbols, some of which looked eerily familiar. Rick's breath caught in his throat as he recognized one of the symbols, A cross, the same cross that adorned the shields of the Templar knights. Could it be? Could this chest hold the answers they had been seeking for so long? As the last of the mud was cleared away, the chest seemed to glisten in the fading light, as if beckoning them to unlock its secrets. The team gathered around, their faces reflecting a mixture of awe and disbelief. Rick reached out, his hand trembling slightly, and grasped the lid of the chest. He paused, taking a deep breath, aware that whatever lay inside could change everything. With a final, determined effort, he lifted the lid, and as it creaked open, the world seemed to hold its breath. Inside, the chest was filled with ancient, weathered scrolls, their edges frayed but their contents miraculously preserved. And at the very top, nestled among the scrolls, was a small, intricately carved object, a pendant adorned with the same cross that had haunted Rick's dreams for years. The Templar Knights had been here, and now their secrets were within Rick's grasp. As the sun finally dipped below the horizon, plunging Oak Island into darkness, Rick knew that they had only just begun to uncover the truth. The journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, but for the first time in a long while, he felt a spark of hope. The curse of Oak Island might finally be broken.